In the mid-1990s, the New York Jets featured the wide receiving duo of Wayne Chrebet and Keyshawn Johnson, a pair of lightning-fast, hard-blocking, firm-handed pass-catching wizards. They were, for my money, the best tandem in the NFL. They also hated each other.
Hey, welcome to the Press Box Chronicles with Jeff Pearlman.
Hey, welcome to the Press Box Chronicles, the show where a cranky middle-aged sports writer who has seen it all, that is definitely me, takes you behind the scenes and into the stories. I am your host, Jeff Pearlman. This is an episode I have really wanted to do, not just as the host of the show, but also as a fan. As some of you might know, I grew up rooting for the New York Jets, which basically means taking a large bat to your head 753 times until your brain no longer works and you're just staring in front of the TV, drooling as wobbly Glenn Foley passes drift into the wind. But every now and then, a blind squirrel finds a nut. And in the mid-1990s, the Jets, my Jets, had the kick-ass wide receiving duo of Wayne Chrebet and Keyshawn Johnson. Two guys who came from polar opposite backgrounds, had polar opposite approaches to playing in the NFL, thought of themselves in demonstrably different sort of lights, and for a very brief period of time, took the Jets to the threshold of glory. And that's what we're going to talk about today on the Press Box Chronicles. So back in the early 1990s, when I was attending the University of Delaware as an undergrad, one of the schools that the Blue Hens, my Blue Hens, would play somewhat regularly was Hofstra. Hofstra is a school based on Long Island. For a long time, they'd been Division III, and they moved up to Division I AA, where they would play the Blue Hens. And Delaware had been this power in college football for a long time, but Hofstra comes along, and they're not that good, but they have this wide receiver who's fucking awesome. And his name is Wayne Chrebet. And Wayne Chrebet is the stereotype in many ways. He's a white kid from Garfield, New Jersey. His dad was a power lifter and a bodybuilder. He overcame the odds and all that shit, blah, 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 blah. But Wayne Chrebet in his 4 years at Hofstra is fantastic. And as a senior in the 1994-95 season for the Hofstra, now 1AA Flying Dutchman at the time, Wayne Chrebet catches 57 balls, 1,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, and he ties a record set by Jerry West by catching 5 touchdowns in a single game. Wayne Chrebet is great. He's a 1AA All-American. And when the 1995 draft comes, nobody pays attention to him. He's ignored the entire draft. Nobody wants him. Again, he's small. He's small school. He's a white kid playing at a position that kind of shuns it. It's just the whole thing, right? Nobody touches him. But as soon as the draft ends, as soon as the 95 draft ends, Wayne Chrebet starts getting calls. And the Carolina Panthers call, the Cincinnati Bengals call, the New Orleans Saints call, and the New York Jets call. And in any sort of logical looking away situation, Wayne Chrebet goes with the Panthers. They're a new football team. They're a new franchise. This is my chance, blah, blah, blah. But instead, Chrebet calls and accepts an invitation to training camp from the New York Jets. And I want to diverge for a minute into something really fascinating. I would argue for my money that in 1995, going into the season, the New York Jets had the worst wide receiver room in the history of pro football. And I'm going to actually challenge my excellent producer, Rich, to meet the demands here. I'm going to name the guys who Wayne Chrebet was competing with for a job in the Jets and see if we can find a picture of every single guy who was in this room. These are the Jets wide receivers entering 1995. So you had Wayne Chrebet, rookie free agent out of Hofstra, undersized, largely ignored. You had Ryan Yarborough from Wyoming. You had Tyrone Davis from Virginia. You had Chad Askew from Pitt. You had Curtis Caesar from Grambling. You had Steve Anderson from Grambling. You had Alan Allen from Idaho. You had Orlando Parker from Troy State. You had Tom Garlick from Fordham. and you had Brian Saley from Missouri. And it's funny because the other day I spoke about this on social media, and someone who graduated from Missouri when Brian Saley was there said, I don't even remember Brian Saley existing. These are the wide receivers who were in camp in 1995 with the New York Jets. And this is why Wayne Chrebet went there. And Wayne Chrebet, again, nobody knows who he is, but the Jets hold their practices and their camp at Hofstra. So at training camp, Chrebet is kind of a celebrity, and he's given uniform number 3. The head coach of the Jets is their new head coach, Rich Kotite, who'd been hired to rejigger the franchise after a 6-10 season under Pete Carroll. And Chrebet initially is ignored. He doesn't play in the first preseason game. He's just like a mascot. They call him the mascot. He looks like the mascot. And he's wearing number 3. But gradually, as these other receivers suck, Wayne Chrebet starts showing himself. He doesn't drop anything. Like, literally, Wayne Chrebet does not drop footballs. He goes over the middle fearlessly. He runs a 4.5 40, which is legit wide receiver speed and defies all the stereotypes you might be thinking about Wayne Chrebet. Wayne Chrebet was fast. He was tough. He blocked his ass off. He's great. And he's in training camp, and he's playing really, really well. And the Jets' final preseason game against the Cincinnati Bengals that year, he catches 5 balls for 54 yards. And throughout training camp, Rich Kotite, the coach, always butchers Wayne Chrebet's name. And he calls him Wayne Chrebet, or he just says number 3. Well, on August 27, 1995, the Jets get down to their 53-man roster, and Wayne Chrebet, against all odds, makes the team. And he's given number 80, a real wide receiver number. And it's funny because you have people with the Jets in the personnel department, when they're asked to compare Wayne Chrebet to someone, they always say white wide receivers. They truly do. It'll be like, oh, he's like Kurt Sohn, former Jet. He reminds me of Don Beebe, the former Bill. And the truth of the matter is, Wayne Chrebet was much more sort of Mark Duper. Like, Wayne Chrebet was much more Roy Green. He was fast. He was small, but he was fast. And again, he caught everything. And he makes the Jets, and the 1995 Jets suck. They suck. They brought in Rich Kotite to turn the franchise around, but Rich Kotite is a horrible, horrible coach. Nothing goes right for the New York Jets this season, except really Wayne Chrebet. And Wayne Chrebet is the Jets' best receiver. He catches 66 balls. Again, he doesn't drop anything. And before long, people are talking about this guy not as just a surprise, but as a really good wide receiver. December 3rd, 1995, catches 8 balls against St. Louis. The Jets lose. Ends the year against 66 catches, 726 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's all rookie. And people are like, man, this guy Wayne Chrebet is a surprise. And this guy Wayne Chrebet is really good. But again, the Jets go 3-13, season ends. The Jets have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, 1996 NFL draft. And the Leon Hess is the owner of the Jets. And he says, we need to win, and we need to win now. And the 96 Jets start reloading. They start signing free agents. They signed Neil O'Donnell, the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, to be their starting quarterback. They bring in Webster Slaughter as a wide receiver. They bring in Jeff Graham as a wide receiver. We're winning now. And the New York Jets have the number 1 pick in the 1996 NFL draft. And actually, it's the only draft I've ever covered as a writer. I was there for the Nashville Tennessean because Nashville was about to get the Oilers turning into the Titans. And I remember Keyshawn Johnson of USC, who was going to be drafted number 1 by the Jets. He was wearing what, in hindsight, is this ridiculous suit with this long jacket, but he kind of looks like a king. And he's there, and he's got the earring and the wide smile, and he's a handsome guy. And Keyshawn at USC was fantastic. His senior year, 102 catches, 1,434 yards, 7 touchdowns. He runs a 4.4 40. He played 2 years at USC. He was unambiguously the best player in that draft. And with the number 1 pick, the Jets take Keyshawn Johnson. And it feels in many ways like Wayne Chrebet's time with the Jets is probably done, especially when, with their first pick in the 2nd round, the New York Jets take another wide receiver, Alex Van Dyke, out of Nevada. So the Jets have added Webster Slaughter, they've added Jeff Graham, they've added Keyshawn Johnson, they've added Alex Van Dyke. And Keyshawn Johnson is really kind of a fascinating story. He grows up in Los Angeles. As an 8th grader, he spends 9 months in a youth facility after he was arrested for possession of marijuana, cocaine, and a concealed handgun. He had very bad SAT scores, so he goes to community college, West LA College. He plays 8 games as a freshman. He quits the team. He's sort of hanging out with the wrong crowd. He's probably not going to go back to college, but he kind of has a wake-up call where he's like, I don't know, this isn't really what I want to do in life. Goes back to community college, transfers to USC, becomes a star. He's a guy from nothing who grew up surrounded by violence, who has no money, who's highly, highly motivated to take care of his family. And he's drafted by the Jets. And when Keyshawn Johnson shows up in New York, it's a marriage that's made. Like, it's a perfect marriage of star wide receiver and city. New York City, New York, where I'm from, loves their superstars. They're young, they're confident superstars. They loved Patrick Ewing when he arrived for the Knicks. They loved Mike Bossy when he played for the Islanders. They loved Darryl Strawberry. They loved Don Mattingly. They loved Dwight Gooden. And Keyshawn Johnson is made for this. And what's cool is the 96 Jets look like they're going to be good. And even with all the new players, even with Keyshawn Johnson, even with Jeff Graham, even with Webster Slaughter, the 1996 season was far, far worse than 1995. 3-13 in hindsight seemed like a joyride. The 96 Jets, coached by Rich Kotite, who, for my money, is the worst coach in the history of the NFL. They go 1-15. 1-15. They only beat Arizona. They have an 8-game losing streak to start the season. Then they have a 7-game losing streak. Their new quarterback, Neil O'Donnell, has injuries. He's limited to 6 games. Their quarterbacks wind up being Frank Reich, who's not good, and Glenn Foley, who's even worse. Wayne Chrebet has 84 catches, 909 yards, 3 touchdowns. Keyshawn Johnson, 63 catches, 844 yards, 8 touchdowns. It is a miserable, miserable season of bad football, of misguided veterans who should have never been signed, of a coach who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Like, I've been a Jet fan for a long time. The Jets have had so many bad things. Like, I don't care. I know there are Cleveland Brown fans who are raising their hand. No, it's not the same, okay? The Jets are the worst franchise in football. The Jets have given me A.J. Dewey intercepting Richard Todd 3 times in the mud in the AFC Championship game. The Jets have given me Ken O'Brien over Dan Marino, Al Toon over Jerry Rice, Jeff Lageman as a first-round pick, Blair Thomas over Emmitt Smith. The Jets have given me the butt fumble. The Jets have given me Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles. The 1-15 96 season was the worst thing ever. A amazing combination of misery and shit, like swimming through liquid shit. That was watching the 96 Jets. And you might think, all right, the season ends, everything gets better. No. Why? Because fucking Keyshawn Johnson decides to write a book. And this was the age, you have to remember, of the athlete tell-all. It was kind of the tail end. It started with Jim Bouton and Ball 4, then you had Sparky Lyle on the Bronx Zoo, and it became a thing for athletes, a way to make money, get attention. Keyshawn Johnson decides, here's what I'm going to do after my rookie year in the NFL, when I just had the worst experience ever. I'm going to write a book about it. And he called the book, for my money, the worst title of a book ever, just because it's dumb. Just Give Me the Damn Ball. The Fast Times and Hard Knocks of an NFL Rookie. And he wrote it with Shelley Smith, who's a great, great journalist, longtime ESPN, former SI colleague of mine. Much respect for Shelley Smith. But this book, I ordered it off eBay for a couple bucks just for this experience. And if you look, it's really unique. I've never seen this before. I think Snooki's book actually did this, where they boldface certain sections just so you don't miss it, almost like saying, make sure you read this. And what's fascinating about Just Give Me the Damn Ball is Keyshawn uses it more than anything to shit all over Wayne Chrebet. And he calls Wayne Chrebet Rich Kotite's mascot. He says that Wayne Chrebet isn't even a third wide receiver in the NFL. He says that Alex Van Dyke, their second round pick out of Nevada, was a far better player than Wayne Chrebet. And I just want to say, Alex Van Dyke's claim to fame is that my friend Michael J. Lewis, not Moneyball Michael J. Lewis, actually has a Alex Van Dyke jersey that I sent him. He uses this book to crap all over Wayne Chrebet. I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to read a passage from Just Give Me the Damn Ball so you can appreciate the literary excellence of this Pulitzer-worthy work. And I'm going to ask my producer Rich to accompany this by videos of cats eating food. Here we go. Thursday night was receivers night out. Graham and Webb called and we got everyone together, even the guys on the practice squad, and headed into New York City for dinner. Chrebet didn't come with us, but it wasn't a big deal. I had let him know I respected what he'd done for the team and even the attitude he carried with him. and he had let me know that he was fine with me stepping in and taking over. On Friday, they made it official. Coach Mann told me I wouldn't be starting against Indy, but that I'd come in for the second series and then start the following week, probably for the rest of my career. They told Chrebet it was over. He looked pretty sad, but the bottom line was I knew he wanted to win as much as I did. And historically, you would think that's a relationship killer. You would think, well, if you slam all over your teammate, that's going to end this marriage. We're not going to have Wayne Chrebet and Keyshawn Johnson in the same locker room after he just used dozens of pages to take a shit all over this guy. But amazingly, the New York Jets, my New York Jets, followed the worst season in their history by doing something right and not just changing, at least temporarily, the course of their future, but repairing and creating a marriage between Wayne Chrebet and Keyshawn Johnson that, for me at least, being a New York Jet loser, is kind of eternal. Hey, I'm Jeff Pearlman. Do you believe in supporting a sad, lonely Jewish journalist whose kids have left for college and the only thing he has left is a one-legged figurine of his daughter from 5 years ago? Do me a favor, go to our website and check out our new merch. We have a whole bunch of new designs like this one, like this one, like this one on my face, like this one. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any more design ideas, we're wide open. And just remember, with every t-shirt, 0.0001% helps support my daughter's missing figurine leg. So following the hellscape of 1996, Leon Hess, the owner of the Jets, decides this isn't happening, and he fires Rich Kotite, who I want to reiterate for the 738th time, might be the worst coach in the history of the NFL. Like, ridiculously bad. And in a 180 move of leadership, he hires the great Bill Parcells to coach the Jets. And Bill Parcells, obviously, legendary coach. Legendary coach in the stadium, Giants Stadium, because he led the Giants to 2 Super Bowl championships. 1997, Bill Parcells shows up, and he took a team that went 1-15, and he just flips it. And they go 9-7. They place third in the AFC East. They don't make the playoffs, but the first time people feel good about themselves. Keyshawn starts 16 games. He has 70 catches, 963 yards, 5 touchdowns. Chrebet only starts 1 game, but he has 58 catches, 799 yards, 3 touchdowns. And the most important thing Bill Parcells does, in my opinion, is he basically says to Keyshawn Johnson and to Wayne Chrebet, I don't want any of this bullshit. I don't want your distractions. I don't want this shit. Just go fucking play football. And for both those guys, it was kind of refreshing and kind of important. 1998, I'm 53 years old, almost 54. 1998 was probably the most joy I ever got as a football fan. And it was all because of the New York Jets. And in 1998, the New York Jets introduced new uniforms, which are throwbacks to their old uniforms. And they're really, really cool. They get rid of Neil O'Donnell and they replace him with Vinny Testaverde, a New York guy, a guy who'd been around, a guy in his 30s with a big arm. And the coolest thing about 1998 is Wayne Chrebet starts at one wide receiver slot. Keyshawn Johnson starts at the other wide receiver slot. And the two guys are phenomenal. Keyshawn Johnson, 83 catches, 1,131 yards, 10 touchdowns. Wayne Chrebet, 75 catches, 1,083 yards, 8 touchdowns. Their new halfback, who they signed from New England, Curtis Martin, runs for 1,287 yards. Testaverde, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. They have 5 Pro Bowlers. But here's the thing. Wayne Chrebet and Keyshawn Johnson are the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. And it's not even close. And the crazy thing is, like 2 years earlier, Keyshawn Johnson is crapping all over Wayne Chrebet. And Wayne Chrebet, I don't think ever forgives him. They don't talk, their lockers are literally next to each other and they barely say 2 words to each other. It's actually fascinating. Like, I don't know if, there's no like, fuck you, well, fuck you. They literally don't talk to each other unless they need to. But on the field, Chrebet and Keyshawn are magic. First of all, Keyshawn runs a 4.4, Chrebet runs a 4.5. So they're both insanely fast. Number 2, they both block their asses off. And not only do they block their asses off, they block their asses off for each other. There are an endless number of highlights of Chrebet crunching someone so Keyshawn gets open, or Keyshawn crunching someone so Chrebet gets open. Keyshawn Johnson does not drop footballs. Wayne Chrebet does not drop footballs. both those guys play insanely, insanely hard. And to watch them pair up together, it's like watching Magic and Worthy in basketball. I swear to God, at their best, Keyshawn Johnson and Wayne Chrebet, they weren't even talking to each other, but they were playing off each other. And I freaking love every moment of it. And people started catching on to the story. Not just that these guys were great, but that they didn't even like each other, but it didn't matter. And the 98 New York Jets win 12 games, and they reach the AFC Championship game. And they play Denver at Denver. They wind up losing to Denver. Chrebet has a great game, 8 catches, 121 yards. And it's just this season where you really can appreciate these two guys playing at the top of their games and playing off each other. And Keyshawn begrudgingly during the 98 season kind of admits, Chrebet's really good. And Chrebet, not even begrudgingly, says he's really, really good. And it's this beautiful marriage. 1999 is kind of a disaster, unfortunately. Vinny Testaverde ruptures his Achilles. The Jets wind up being quarterbacked by Rick Meyer and Ray Lucas and a little Tom Tupa. Keyshawn has a good game, good season, 89 catches, 1,100 yards. Chrebet, he's injured, 48 catches, 631 yards. And after that season, for some reason, because he can't always get out of his own way, Keyshawn Johnson demands a trade. I get it. You're tired of the Jets. You're tired of this franchise. There's always dysfunction. He demands a trade, and he winds up going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it sets up one of the great sort of grudge match moments in NFL history, and one of the most magical moments for Jet fans ever. So before the 2000 season, Keyshawn Johnson, kind of fed up by the Jets, fed up by the organization, probably fed up by Chrebet, demanded a trade. And the New York Jets actually made a hell of a deal. They sent Keyshawn, disgruntled wide receiver, kind of a diva, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in return, they got 2 first-round draft choices. And with the 13th pick, they got John Abraham, a pass-rushing wizard from South Carolina, who wound up being a great player. And then they drafted Anthony Beck, a tight end from West Virginia, who, fine. Keyshawn goes to Tampa Bay. He signs an 8-year, $56 million deal. Okay. It's now the 2000 season, and the New York Jets are playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in the lead up to the game, Keyshawn Johnson, who just can't help himself. I actually find Keyshawn Johnson engaging and endearing, but the dude can't help himself. Lead up to the game, he says, Wayne Chrebet is a flashlight to my star. And inside the Jet locker room where Keyshawn had friends, the reaction was like, can you just shut the fuck up? Can you just please shut the fuck up? Wayne Chrebet was a legit NFL wide receiver. He made Keyshawn Johnson better. They had this great pairing together, and you have to shit on him. And it honestly spoke to Keyshawn Johnson's insecurities at the time. He hated being compared to Chrebet. He was the star from USC. He was this guy from Hofstra. Hated it. But it was just stupid. Okay. The Jets travel to Tampa Bay, and they play the Buccaneers. And it's late in the game, and the Jets mount this amazing, amazing comeback. And late in the game, and Vinny Testaverde has this horrible game for the Jets. He throws 3 interceptions. He's benched for a while. But there's 52 seconds left. And Testaverde takes a handoff. And he hands off to Curtis Martin. And Curtis Martin, the running back, runs to his right. And he stops. And he throws this wobbly duck toward the end zone. Toward Chrebet. And Wayne Chrebet jumps in the air. And he makes this catch. And the Jets win. They pull this victory out of nowhere. And they beat the Buccaneers. And the best part of the TV coverage was all the cameras go straight to Keyshawn Johnson, who looks like he just swallowed a dead snake. And after the game, Vinny Testaverde says, or Ray Lucas, the Jets backup quarterback, says, the flashlight was lit today. Dan Henning, the Jets offensive coordinator, says, maybe Keyshawn was right. Maybe we don't have as many stars on this team, but we have a lot of flashlights. And the whole thing, the Jets were down 19-7 at the 2-minute warning. They come back and win, and it's Chrebet. It's an amazing win. And the funny thing is, after the game, Chrebet wouldn't talk shit about Keyshawn. He was egged on and egged on and egged on, and he wouldn't do it. And that was the moment. A great moment for Jets, a horrible moment for Keyshawn, a great moment for Wayne Chrebet. And the truth of the matter is, after that game and after that moment, the comparisons and the sort of bond of Keyshawn Johnson and Wayne Chrebet, as awkward and clumsy and sort of conflicted as it was, kind of faded away. Wayne Chrebet had his moment. Keyshawn Johnson would win a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's funny now sitting here looking back. One guy was a free agent out of Hofstra. One guy was the number one pick in the NFL draft. They both wound up playing 11 years in the NFL. Keyshawn Johnson definitely had the better overall career than Wayne Chrebet. Keyshawn Johnson played 167 games. He had 814 catches for 10,571 yards, 64 touchdowns. Wayne Chrebet, same number of seasons, 580 receptions, 7,365 yards, 41 touchdowns. Keyshawn Johnson had a journeyman career. He played a little for the Panthers. He played for the Cowboys. And he goes down as just another good wide receiver. Wayne Chrebet, 11 years in the NFL, goes down as a Jet great. And I do think the one thing looking back that bothers me is there's this sort of alternate universe where Keyshawn Johnson doesn't demand a trade. And he and Chrebet play 11 years together. And they're this wide receiver duo. And yeah, maybe they're the odd couple. But they do such great things for each other on the field that we're celebrating them as a pair. The way we think of Leonard and Hagler, the way we think of Ali and Frazier even, or the way we think of great teammates, Gooden and Strawberry, or we think of Ruth and Gehrig, we think of Keyshawn and Chrebet. And in 2014, Wayne Chrebet, who spent his entire year with the Jets, is inducted into the team's Ring of Honor. And the New York Post, trying to take a dig, calls Keyshawn Johnson, who at that point had also been retired for a little while. And if you were expecting Keyshawn Johnson to crap all over Wayne Chrebet, and I think they were, it was actually the opposite. Keyshawn said, "I never said I disliked him one bit. People run with that. People run with what they want to run with. I've never been quoted saying I don't like Wayne Chrebet. We got along fantastic. We didn't fight." He said he was thrilled that Chrebet was getting inducted into the Ring of Honor and said he would make it if he wasn't working. He said, "I tell people all the time, don't tell me nothing about no fucking Julian Edelman, no fucking Wes Welker. Don't tell me nothing about no 5'10", 5'9", slow-ass white kid if you're not mentioning Wayne Chrebet. Don't try to glorify them dudes because Wayne was 10 times better than them, in my opinion." And Chrebet, when told about Keyshawn's comments, said, "When me and him played together, you'd have a great argument that we were one of the best tandems in the league. We blocked for each other. A lot of people said that we blocked for each other, but what people don't realize is I run some routes when I'm going out, and if he doesn't do his job and he doesn't make his guy run with him, he's going to see me and light me up." Things like that. We took care of each other. We weren't going to go out and break bread together, but I respect the guy. And I just want to say, 1998, we're approaching the 30th anniversary of that great Jets season. And I've never seen Chrebet and Keyshawn reunite in person, even on a podcast. I would love for the New York Jets to have a moment, have a ceremony where they honor that 98 team. You bring back Vinny Testaverde. You bring back Curtis Martin. You bring back Kyle Brady. Bring back different guys from that team. But you 100,000% bring back Wayne Chrebet and you bring back Keyshawn Johnson and you put them behind a desk and you have a press conference and you let these guys, both now in their 50s, both long removed from playing in the NFL, show appreciation for one each other and for the memories that created for diehard New York Jets fans like me. That's a wrap for this week's episode of Press Box Chronicles with Jeff Pearlman. Do me a favor, leave a comment below on what stories you'd like to hear more about, or if there's a particular sports figure you're interested in. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and follow me on TikTok at Jeff Pearlman Author and Bluesky at Jeff Pearlman. Thank you for diving behind the scenes and digging into the story. We'll see you next time on Press Box Chronicles.